Well, it's Thursday, May 27th. We're headed into the long weekend, Memorial Day. We'll talk a little bit about that in the next couple of minutes. But I think the struggle that we're seeing unfold and have seen unfold over the last couple of months is what's transitory inflation and what's real inflation. So what are the things that are just temporary and what's really going to be inflationary at the end of the year?
I'm glad you used the word temporary because transitory has been thrown around a bunch. So it's a fancy technical term that means inflation that's temporary, driven by a certain event, but then levels itself out versus something that's here to stay.
That's correct.
Okay, so the question, what's transitory? You would certainly think the shortages we have because of the supply chain
Correct.
is transitory. Now, let's take that statement and make it into something that means something. Lumber, for example.
It's up more than, I think the last number I read was 400% in the last 3 years.
Right, it has dropped because guess what's happening? The supply chain is beginning to open up. So there is a transitory effect. Oil could be thought to be transitory under certain circumstances.
Yes, but we've done some things from an administrative standpoint, which has slowed the flow of oil,
which then could make it
permanent. Make it permanent. So transitory maybe could be more permanent with the administration's view on fossil fuels.
I think the other thing that's probably transitory and inflationary at this point in time is the reopening and the immediate inflow of people who want to go do something. Prime example, a good friend of yours and mine is going to Jackson Hole, Wyoming in August. It must be a mass exodus to wonderful places like that. He wanted to rent a car.
Yeah.
He wanted to rent a car for 1 week.
Yes. How hard was that?
$3,000 to rent a car out of Jackson Hole. Now, you could go to Idaho Falls, 150 miles away, and for the same week, if you would have to drive 150 miles to get to Jackson Hole, you could rent a car for $700. That's transitory.
That's transitory. That's
yes.
right. And 59% of American households have made big purchases from January to April of this year. Home improvements, renovations, automobiles being two of those examples. That could be transitory too because the savings rate, it was at 21%. Versus back in 2001 where it was at 5%. So we have more money to spend. So that too could be transitory.
So the whole thing is really focused on, from the Federal Reserve's position this summer, the opening up, the supply chain fixing, and then where the economy is going to see if transitory inflation settles down and regular inflation where the Fed is seeing goes to where we want to, or whether transitory inflation blows through, grabs hold of regular inflation, and pulls it up.
So where we had a V recovery, what the Fed wants to see is an upside down V, if you will, on inflation.
Yes.
So we're seeing it spike as we're in the early months of this year and where we are today, and they believe that it's going to turn, and by the end of the year or into 2022, be on the decline.
Yeah. So that's where we are. We're going into the summer. Key thing you just said, we're going in the summer. Typically the summertime is a vacation time. It's a real relaxing time. The market seems to take a little more level pace at it, and the Fed is watching what inflation does.
Right.
So we do that.
Memorial Day weekend is upon us.
It is. And in honor to all the men and women who have served and who serve for us currently in all lines of work. Service is no longer just the military, but it's the military and the police. It is the fire department. It's the nurses. It's the doctors. COVID-19 showed so many servicing people. I came across a little short poem, but the lead up with it I thought was important just to say. So bear with me as I read a short thing, and then we'll close on our poem. Memorial Day has come to mean the beginning of summer, a time for picnics and barbecues, and a holiday to gather around the family. That happiness and freedom, however, is a product of real cause for the holiday. The sacrifices made by men and women who have fought and died for the freedom and liberties Americans hold dear. Memorial Day is a time to remember that Americans' way of life is not cheap, but rather has been purchased by lives and blood of so many who have sacrificed for us to live free and happy. And then this neat little poem, and we wish you the best for Memorial Day weekend safety, and thank you for the great relationship you give to HMC. This is a poem by Emily Toma, T-O-M-A. Remember those who served before. Remember those who are no more. Remember those who serve today. And remember them all on Memorial Day.
Absolutely.
Have a great Memorial Day weekend. Thank you for what you mean to us. Remember, it is your money.
And your money matters.
See you next week.